Shalom. Call Lord Yahweh Shem Shai Bashem Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedoms to do so. To the confusion of faith joined unto our ranks, the hopefully elect, the Akwaf, and the fellow yoke mates that are out there doing this work in truth and sincerity, whether they be in the GMS or not. To them I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. Using a few minutes from the Jimmy Dore show. And disclaimer, this is not my footage. I don't own this footage. I'm not profiting from this footage. I'm only using it just for information and example. But I do watch the Jimmy Dore show. It's one of the better news channels. And he makes comedy. But he still tells the truth. Right? He may use rude speech. Alright? But he still tells the truth. Same thing as the men of the Lord. Alright? Doesn't matter how it comes out. Okay? It's what he said, you know. It's what comes out of your mouth that defiles you. Did the truth come out? Has nothing to do with rude speech, like saying shit, fuck, or damn, which he uses that language a lot. But we're going to show you an example of a deception that Esau uses called talking points. Okay? As a matter of fact, let's click on talking points. And it says left bias, right extreme. But here it says these media sources are moderately to strongly biased toward liberal or anything for that matter. Causes through story selection and political affiliation. They may utilize strong loaded words that attempt to influence an audience by using appeal to emotion or stereotypes. Publish misleading reports and omit reporting or information that may damage the liberal cause. Some sources in this category may be untrustworthy. See all left biased sources. So basically, for example, Christians always come with that basic lie that they always say about the Great Millstone, about the rape doctrine. Knowing that the people don't understand the true definition of rape, rape's place in the Bible, and how there were laws in the Bible on how to go about punishing a rapist or a rape victim. You know, there are laws on the Bible on how to use rape, which means to seize, to grab hold. Right? Doesn't necessarily mean to make penetration. If someone snatches something out of your hand, they just raped you. But that explanation and that example of it is not used. So that is what we're talking about. When people use talking points to appeal to the emotions of people, well, they disregard anything after that. And you watch, and they're going to show you an example of that on the on the Jimmy Dore show. So without any further ado, let me grab a scripture first. Let's go to the book of Job, or Isaiah 55. Actually, let's go there first. 55 and 21. And it reads, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawing swords. And that's exactly what Esau does. All right, that's the total MO of Esau Edom. So let's let some of this play. It's about 2 or 3 minutes of it.
Listen to the question she asks him. Watch this.
You know, she says she went to Syria to promote diplomacy. But, I mean, I know you just laid out some of it, but what was she really doing?
Obviously, she was meeting with Russian internet trolls to make memes and sow discontent. That's her question. Could you...
You know, she says she went to Syria to promote diplomacy. But, I mean, I know you just laid out some of it, but what was she really doing?
Right, what she would... Yeah, that's kind of amazing. I just thought I'd show you that, because that's kind of amazing. And then here she was on MSNBC. And so watch this.
I want to go with this for a moment. So when sitting down with someone like Bashar al-Assad in Syria, do you confront him directly and say, why do you order chemical attacks on your own people? Why do you cause the killings of over 500,000 people in your country?
Look, let me just say this. If the corporate media was as tough on politicians that are fueling the wars as they are on the ones who are trying to end the wars, we would have been out of Afghanistan in 2003. So let's remember that MSNBC is the network that fired Phil Donahue for telling the truth about the Iraq War, which she is currently fucking serving in, right? They fired Phil Donahue for telling the truth. They fired Jesse Ventura for telling the truth. They fired Ashley Banfield for telling the truth about war. That's what MSNBC does. And they also fired...
Fox also fired Glenn Beck for bringing up the history and telling the truth about the Hebrew roots of the Native Americans and Hispanics here in the Americas. He got fired off Fox for that too, might I add.
People who tell the truth for even covering progressive politicians. So the fact that they bring her on, of course they're going to do this. Of course they hire somebody like her who's going to take orders on what kind of questions to ask Tulsi Gabbard. She wasn't allowed to give her a decent interview, and if she did, she'd have been fucking fired like Phil Donahue too. These people are tools. And she's a tool just as big as anybody at MSNBC. All right, so I just wanted to get that off my chest. Here we go.
I want to go with this for a moment. So when sitting down with someone like Bashar al-Assad in Syria, do you confront him directly and say, why do you order chemical attacks on your own people? Why do you cause the killings of over 500,000 people in your country?
Look, you know, I want to break this down to what we're talking about. I want to break this down to what we're talking about here today, because you're talking about a meeting that took place, what, 3 years ago? And every time I come back, here on MSNBC, you guys talk to me about these issues. It sounds like these are talking points that Kamala Harris and her campaign are feeding you.
Seriously, who would know watching the news would be this much fun?
And so I agree, because when you understand what a talking point is and how she called her on it and bust her out, basically she slapped that bitch in the face. All right? And Esau just got caught lying, trying to control the narrative, trying to steer completely away from the truth and go on the emotions of an unlearned people. All right? Because, truth be said, Assad never did anything to his own people. America and the Israelis did. The evidence proved that. The Russians brought forth the evidence and wanted to share it with the whole world. And they just swept it under the rug like it never happened. They didn't want to look at that evidence. They found that some of the canisters, when that incident so-called happened, had American companies' names on them. Okay? This is the book of Job. Scripture just continually comes out, but I got to read it. Chapter 13, verse 4, but I'm also going to read verse 7. All right? And it reads, "But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value." Esau's just a liar. So he comes up with loaded questions. It's like playing rolling dice, shooting dice with someone who has loaded dice. Okay? So he can try to control the narrative. He's trying to control the outcome. Verse 7. "Would ye speak wickedly for God and talk deceitfully for him?" And yes, Esau does everything that's contrary to righteousness, which righteousness is godly, and Esau is not godly. All right? Point blank period, man. Another scripture. Let's go to Psalms 50 and 16 through 18. lot of Psalms today. And it reads, or 16. But unto the wicked power saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee, when thou sawest a thief, then thou contendest with him, and thou hast partaken with adulterers. So Esau, once again, has no business trying to put himself in a position where he can make decisions to judge anyone. Because the whole system which Esau is operating from under is an illegitimate one. It's an unrighteous, illegitimate government. Unrighteous, and that's what's happening. People are starting to disavow and not acknowledge them anymore. That great sedition is happening because of their behavior, and the people are waking up to them. And it's not just the Israelites, the heathens are waking up to Esau, Edom as well, man. And that vibration of who Esau, Edom is moving throughout the world. It's already out there. They can't stop it. There is no stopping it, okay? Let's read a little bit more and we'll finish this. This is Psalm, I'm going to read the 10th chapter, which I love that 10th chapter because it just explains Esau to the fullest, the whole chapter. But I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm going to read like verses 3 through like 9. All right? And it reads, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire and blesseth the covetous, whom Yahweh abhorreth. So the Lord hates the covetousness, and Esau is a covetous man. All right? He's always wanting and taking something that's not his own, even the heritage of other people. Verse 4, the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after power. God is not in all his thoughts. All right? He's not going to seek after the Most High. All right? His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above and out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. But he's very, very confused and about to be abused because a lot of his allies are now his enemies. And a lot of his allies will also become his enemies. And he already had enemies. And the enemies are starting to join together. And they're going to smash Esau. And the Lord is actually is the one coordinating the whole thing. All right? All this decision, all this dissension, all this breakup that's happening in the world. All right? He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, I should not be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. And it's just true. Those talking points. All right? And that's how they do that. And they do the same thing when it comes to history. This is the tactics that these fake Christians, people like Vocab Malone come. They listen and watch our videos, and then they come with talking points. They try to find something that they can debate and argue and focus on that. And just disregard everything else and try to play off the emotions of an unlearned people. Well, people who don't truly understand the Bible or the languages that it's written in. Right? I'll read that again. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud, and under his tongue is mischief and vanity. All right? That's those talking points. All right? He sitteth in the lurking places of the village, in secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Like all these false flags that they're doing all over the place. When people actually die. Just so that they can set a talking point or a narrative so they can get something done. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. Who doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net? So Esau is a master hunter, man. And he's hunting for your soul and everything else. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bashem, Abishai, Bashem, Rakak, Wadash, Wa, Abad, the ball.